Hey guys, how's it going? It's 8-Bit Eric, and today I wanted to kind of respond to some comments that were on my last video. I made a State of Pro Wrestling Today video yesterday. Just talked about my quick thoughts on how the wrestling scope is currently right now, especially with the pandemic going on. But today there was a handful of comments. I want to go ahead and talk about them on this video. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to scroll down. We got 3 comments. We got Falcro and Quantum Delo and Presto. So thank you guys, especially for commenting. I know this channel's being built from the ground up, kind of from scratch, so the community is not as big as it could be. But if for whatever reason this is your first time coming to the channel, let's go ahead and start commenting and stuff like that so we can build this one up. Anyways, let's go ahead and read Falcro's comment. It definitely feels very different about the pandemic going on. I'm still trying to get used of the changes with them being on TV with little or no crowd, because I believe the crowd are part of the show as well, especially with the NXT crowd. I connect with them the most. I honestly mostly watch highlights on YouTube of what's been happening, but I'll try to pick up on the recent pay-per-view event on WWE Network, and that's pretty much it. So you hit the nail on the head. I think NXT had some freaking wonderful crowds before the pandemic. They always seem that they get really hyped on certain pro wrestlers and stuff that are on the roster. Funny thing is though, and I just recently heard this on Jim Cornette's podcast, is AEW is being touted as the alternative to the cartoon style wrestling that WWE presents. But now if you look at it, AEW's getting some pretty Looney Toony, cartoony type of stuff. I mean, you got some characters doing gimmicks that are just kind of out there, and sure, it's fun, it's entertaining and stuff like that, but the product isn't exactly being presented as sport in AEW or on Raw or SmackDown. If I was to venture to say any show has any kind of product that feels like it is an authentic piece of sport, it would be NXT. If you watch NXT, most of the characters and wrestlers on there are not like hokey gimmicks. Yeah, there's one every once in a while, but a lot of them are actually portrayed as athletes. You got Oni Lorcan, you got the Imperium guys, you got Undisputed Era, you got Finn Balor, you have Keith Lee, you have what's his name, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. You got like a lot of really well-trained superstars, like real no-nonsense technical wrestlers. Like, this is honestly probably the best, most talented roster that NXT's had in quite some time, and comparing to AEW, who has a lot of talented roster, a lot of indie darlings. But look at who's on top. Chris Jericho, one of the best of all time, but he's kind of hokey now. He's kind of comedic, and I get that, but it wouldn't be a bad thing if every other character on the roster wasn't comedic as well. I feel that comedy wrestling is kind of overdone now. Everybody has to be comedic. Like, there's no more strong, solid heels or, determined, motivated baby faces anymore. Like, WCW was okay with that. You had like DDP and Macho Man and guys that were like real strong characters, and now it's like you got dinosaurs, you have Orange Cassidy, and I mean, yeah, these gimmicks are getting over and they're fun and entertaining. I prefer more of an old school aspect, not so much on the cartoony bit, but more on the presentation that everybody is something different. I don't want everybody being comedic. You only need a handful of chicken shit heels in wrestling, and I feel that AEW definitely has a little too much of the comedy, but they are freaking amazing in their talent. A lot of them are doing stuff that I've never seen before. They're fast, definitely way over my head as far as ability goes. But I do like how NXT presents a little bit more of a serious product as well. And it's interesting to see where the ratings battles go every week on Wednesday. It's almost hard to keep up, actually. But yeah, we'll move on to the next comment, which is by Quantum Delo. And he says, I would love to hear more of your wrestling stories and experiences on the road. I have read many wrestling books, and some of my favorites are the crazy shenanigans that happen while traveling. Some of the best, in my opinion, are the scary stories. So I do have quite a number of stories in regards to wrestling. But the problem is, I don't want to incriminate anybody with any of the more scandalous or risque stories. And then also some of the stories, I don't think people involved want their names dropped or want those stories told. I do have some funny stuff though, some funny moments, lots of like drunk stories and shenanigans like on South Padre Island and other stuff like that. Maybe I could do some story time. There's also stories I have that involve bigger name wrestlers that I don't know if I feel comfortable name dropping and telling the stories and stuff. But maybe it's something down the line that I would like to possibly consider getting into and talking about, because it can be pretty informative and a lot of fun. But I also could tell stories of training and growing in the business and my experiences and stuff like that, and who I've wrestled and stuff like that. Again, I'm not a big name, huge guy, so I kind of feel out of place when I kind of talk about other people that have come up past me and have grown. But you know, there's a lot of people on all the rosters right now that I've actually wrestled against and trained with and stuff like that. So yeah, and let's go to the next one. This is by Presto. The state of pro wrestling, it's been in decline since early 2000s. Won't even glance at it. My one friend that still likes it watches it alone. No one cares anymore. And you know what? It definitely does not have the ratings that it used to have, but there's more wrestling on TV now than ever. That's not deniable. If there wasn't money in it, if the business wasn't booming, it wouldn't be on nearly every day of the year. I think like Thursday nights is the only night that it's not on. Maybe Saturdays, and then of course you got syndication with MLW and Ring of Honor and who knows what else. I personally watch it. I check it out, but that's just because I've been watching it for over 20 years or so. But that's fair. I know a lot of people that once WCW got bought, they stopped tuning in and watching, and they just never had any interest coming back to it. So I can understand that completely and follow back on that for sure. I would like for it to get a little bit better, but I think in order for that to even happen is the pandemic would definitely have to come to an end whenever that ends. And I'm so tired of hearing about COVID and Corona, but it definitely does affect the wrestling business. Tickets, attendance, live events shape storylines, angles, and where business is going. And as long as there's no fans out there for genuine live reactions, you're not going to be able to get people. It's really hard to get people over. It's almost amazing how over some characters are getting on TV. I think a lot of it has to do with social media. A lot of people say social media and the internet harmed wrestling industry with breaking kayfabe and stuff like that. But I think it's kind of making it survive right now. I don't think guys like Orange Cassidy and them would be able to survive in today's climate without social media backing them up right now. Like, for example, in WWE, Big E is about to get a solo push, but there's no attendance. There's no real crowd. Drew McIntyre, he's a champion that won it in front of nobody. Like, he didn't get a big WrestleMania moment in front of a sold-out crowd. So I feel all these guys, Naomi's another one, the social media crowd is what's actually helping people get over at this moment. And wrestling's evolving, actually, right now, whether we realize it or not. So, I don't know. Anyways, that's it. Those were the comments in the last video. I just wanted to kind of touch on it. I didn't really have a plan with this channel. I'm just kind of going with the flow, turn on the camera, and talking about whatever pops up in my head. So, hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Don't forget to leave a like or comment. Subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks a lot for watching, as always.